Hello, wonderful people. Welcome to another amazing episode on History Unboxed. And today I'm your host, Gloria King. But before then, how was the week? And hope work wasn't too stressful. As for me, my week was good, but not so good. So back to today's business. And today's topic is the Nigerian Civil War, also called the Biafran War. As at 1960, where about 250 ethnic groups were merged as one and named Nigeria, we had three big regions run by three big parties, which is the Wazobia, Yoruba, Hausa, and the Igbos. Their party, the Igbos, were called NCNC. A majority of them were Christians. For the Hausas, their party were called NPC. A majority of them were Muslims. And then for the Yoruba, it was called AG, and they were mixed, the Muslims and the Christians. Each of these big regions, they own their own money and their resources. Of course, the East, they were in control of the oil, so everybody, they were suspicious of themselves. So as at 1966 January, the first military coup happened. It was carried out by the young Igbo officers. By then, Tafawa Balewa and some leaders were killed. Then, Aguiyi Ironsi took over as the head of state. But when this first coup was carried out, Ojukwu was not among this coup. It was not part of the coup. So 6 months later, another coup was carried out. Should I say a counter coup? So it was carried out and some people were killed. Some leaders were also killed. Aguiyi Ironsi too was killed as at then. And then Tafawa Balewa took over as the head of state. And Ojukwu, as at that period, was the military governor, heading the Igbos. So after that period of time where the second coup took place and happened, the North thought of it, the first coup was carried out by Igbos, and they felt this coup was done for killing other people, and then they started killing the Igbos in the North. They killed the Igbos, some of them fled, some died. Even when they went to the airport to board to try to escape, and the buses too, they were attacked and killed. Many of the Igbos were killed, about thousands of them. So the ones that fled to their to the east, they told the horrific, tragic events they've witnessed, what their eyes have seen, and they were telling people, this is what happened, this is what happened. And then Ojukwu, who was the governor of the military governor of East, stood up for his people and told the government, please, they should stop killing our people. They even went to Ghana to do some meetings with some leaders, but nothing was done. Instead, they came back and no protection whatsoever for their own people. Since it's called one as Nigeria, as say, you're supposed to look out for your people, but they were not seeing that part again. They came back, and instead of finding a protection or way to protect their people or its people, instead, he added 12 new states and divided the East region into 3. Now, Ojukwu Odumegwu, no, this is a breaking point, because after splitting the Igbo into 3, they were not in charge they were not in total control of the key oil in the East. So he already know that this government or these people, they don't think about them. So he said, okay, this is time to look after my people. So May 30th, 1967, Ojukwu Chukwuemeka Odumegwu declared Republic of Biafra. And his reason for declaring this Biafra was to protect its people, since the government cannot protect its people. But the government was not seeing it that way. Rather, they felt Ojukwu was rebellion. That was what they thought. Meanwhile, for the Igbos, they said, okay, this is the way of survival. If the government can't take over, can't protect us, there's somebody that is willing to sacrifice his own life and protect us. But the government were not looking at it that way. As that, so he became the head of state of Biafra and also the commander in chief. Then weeks later, the Nigerian army troops went to that place and the war started. So they started the war. There were a lot of killings, but this didn't stop Ojukwu because we don't have the equipment Nigerian army has. Because Nigerian army, they were equipped with lots of machinery. They were backed by the British and other sovereign countries, and the Ojukwu do not have backings as at then, and their own equipment, machineries were not up to the Nigerian army. But that didn't stop him from fighting for what he know is right or what he thinks was right. He continued fighting. When the war first started, people were wondering and how was it possible? Because Biafran as at then, they were winning, but you can't compete with Nigerian troops. So the war, they started going down, getting weaker, getting exhausted, because Nigerian army, as large as they are, they cut their food chain, they cut food supplies. So Biafran they were fighting war without food, with hunger, and then people started dying from that event. They were dying from hunger, from starvation, from sicknesses. So Ojukwu had to use his own connection, international connect, and also media outlets to post pictures of children dying. Post children that were starved, Biafran children, how skinny they were, their heads were big, tummy were big, they were turning to skeletons. So he had to post these pictures, post those images online for people to see. And they were shocked at the images they were seeing, and they started sending support. Then Zambia, Cote d'Ivoire, they were backing him up with little they can. But that didn't stop the Nigerian army or the Biafran war. They continued fighting. Ojukwu was going to war front to advise and motivate these young soldiers not to give up and continue with the war, the fight. They should stand up for what is right. The war continued, but the soldiers were tired. They were exhausted. Because why would you be fighting with empty stomach? And then with the whole sickness, nobody to take care of it, because they already blocked them and they were surrounded by Nigerian troops. And with the whole images circling around the world, nobody was even willing to stop. So the war continued till Ojukwu had to hand over to the deputy and fled for Ivory Coast. He fled to Ivory Coast because he knew that if he stayed back, they would annihilate him, but he had to surrender, give to his deputy, and fled for Ivory Coast. Then about a week later, his deputy surrendered. He surrendered, and at that then, in 1970, Ojukwu handed over to his deputy, and weeks later, his deputy surrendered, and Gowon declared no victor, no vanquished. Till today, the Igbos called Ojukwu Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ikemba, meaning strength. And with that, we've come to the end of today's episode. Thank you for watching. Please remember to follow, comment, share on our social media pages from TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel on Light African TV. Thanks for watching, and see you next week. Bye.